Shanti Harmanben.
Om Shanti. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so today we thought we'll do something a little bit interesting since we're in June and it's the month of Mama. It's really lovely when I read the Murli of Mama on 24th of June. And it was also a more interesting Murli that I found that there was a section, couple of pages, which was Mama's Murli, and then followed by that, which I actually found more amusing, and I wanted to discuss that today. There was like it's a Murli only, but it's presented in a way that Baba has come in the body of another Sandeshi, of another messenger, and he's having a one-to-one chat with Mama. So it's a Murli only, but it's Baba in the body, like he used to come in the body of Sakar Baba, but at that time he came in the body of a trans messenger and he is speaking to Mama on a one-to-one basis. And I found that to be a sweet, very sweet chit chat in a way. It's personal, and there were a lot of elements that I found really worthwhile applying in our lives. So we'll read a little bit and then we'll discuss a little bit. I won't read what Mama's Murli was because then it might get a bit too long. So this was, we revised the date on the 24th June 25, and the original date they've given is 1957. And it's the Avyak meeting with God and a dialogue of Saraswati Ma through a trance messenger. So Baba is saying, Daughter Sri Radhe, look who has come to you. Such a great power is conversing with you. By understanding the secret of my coming, you can also know yourself. Together with the position of the one who has come, you can also know your own position. That is your status. And that is such a lovely line, which I think we all know, but we sometimes either take for granted or we forget that just the fact that who has come to meet you, not an ordinary being, not someone who's just another person, but someone who's the greatest of them all. So the fact that God comes and meets us every single morning, the fact that he's come to salvage us and directly come to me, I think that's a huge thing for us to acknowledge our own power and our own existence, that wow, how great am I if such a great big person has come to meet me and to do so much for me. So what will be my status if such a high being has come? So you can just know that just the fact that God has come. So Baba continues, oh daughter Radhe, do you want to see my splendor? If I want, I can enable destruction to take place in a second. But I do not do that because according to the variety form film, whatever duties are to be enacted by everyone, they will definitely play them in that way. Only Avyakt God, who knows the eternal laws, can come and give us recognition of these eternal laws. The eternal play of the whole world takes place on the stage, and it takes time for the play to be enacted practically. If I finish the play of so many years in just a second, then what would remain of the play? So this is like us wanting to enjoy our times on the planet Earth, and the whole reason why we come down from Paramdham is just to play, is to have fun, to enjoy, to gather experiences, to learn something, to explore what planet Earth is, to explore different relationships, to explore what is within my heart as well, what different qualities of the soul I have. But along with that, Baba says, I am the most powerful So it's not that if I want Radhe, speaking with Mama, that if I want Radhe, I can finish it in a second. But then what would remain? It's like us going to watch a movie, isn't it? Most if we go to see a film, normally at the end of the 2-3 hours, however long it is, most of it, we know that the villain's going to die and then it's going to be a happy ending. And we know this is going to work out. The hero, heroine are going to be happy and live forever, happily ever after. We know that, but we still go. We put in that effort, not effort. I think it's more enjoyment that we like, isn't it? To go and sit through the 3 hours. So we know the beginning and we know the end. So similar in my life. I know like the moment Baba came and made me his child, he said, you are a pure soul. You're going to the golden age. But on top of that, he wants us, I've told you the end. Now just work on the middle part. Make the effort in that middle period, which is us now on the confluence age. He wants us to just play around and see what different elements of my life come up and what elements I enjoy and which elements I don't like to explore with, where I have courage, where I have fear, where I like to spend my time, how I like to live in relationships. So he wants us to explore ourselves so we know a little bit more about ourselves. The end goal is, guaranteed. God has guaranteed that yes, you are a heavenly, you will definitely go to heaven. You are a pure soul. I will take you home and then I will send you to the golden age. But this middle period, it's not that I can't. Sometimes, we do get a little bit, well, hopefully not, but sometimes we do feel, especially when difficulties come or when a lot of challenges come, we do have this sometimes a sense of helplessness might seep in a little bit from somewhere, the Kalyugi vibrations. And we like, why can't this just kind of move along quickly and get to the better side? So, Baba's encouraging us in a way that it's not that I can't, I can finish it in a second, but I want you to have fun. I want you to explore. I want you to be able to play what you want because I want you to live your heart out so you don't have any desires left. So there's no complaints also. And I want you to have enough time also, I don't want to at the end complain that, oh, I didn't get time to do this or do that. And maybe I could have been better, or maybe I could have done things a little bit differently. So he's given us, well, I would say the grace of giving us enough time, of giving us enough love and supporting us throughout this wonderful journey. Now, Baba will move on to a wonderful, wonderful lesson, which I feel I've taken with me, especially since that day. We'll read on. So if I finish the play in so many years in just a second, then what would remain in the play? Whatever difficulties are to be seen or tolerated have to repeat in the same way according to the complicated secret. This is a complicated repetition which our lovely Radhe, you and I, are happy to witness. In this variety drama, a test has to be taken. A test has to be given for all parts. The one who is making this move, if he wants, he can drop this drama in a second and then start anew. But he does not do that because God too has to do everything in this ordinary way. So this is Baba God, referencing a little bit to that, the fact, the godly laws, the universal laws, the spiritual laws are so high, but because we like to be bound, us humans, we are so used to being bound by planet Earth, by being body conscious, by being influenced by the vices and being living in a limited way, because of the way we've just lived on this planet Earth. We've forgotten our real self. We've forgotten the spiritual laws. We've forgotten there's a whole universe outside of me. So at this particular time, God doesn't just kind of snatch us out of body consciousness and take us to the truth. He comes down. So he comes down to the corporeal world. he takes the loan of a body, and then he, according to the laws of this Kali Yuga, I would say, or this planet Earth, this Mother Earth, he enacts according to that, because we are so used to being that ordinary. We are not really ready. We might kind of not be able to accept the eternal truth if Baba just kind of, snatched us and took us away. So Baba is saying, I can do that. I can just start it anew, finish this off, start it anew. But I am just doing things because you like it this way. So kind of obliging us that I'll do everything ordinary because that's the way you want to get it done. So God too has to do everything in this ordinary way. God, the Almighty Authority Himself, is here in the corporeal form, but in an ordinary dress. This is an amazing game of the maze, and the one who knows it is the Jani Jananhar. Daughter Sri Radhe, this path of the beloved children having to tolerate also has to be taken. If I want, I can create an easy path for my children because I have the key to grant visions in my hand. If I grant vision of any deity to a wealthy devotee, he would bring all his wealth to the yajna and surrender it all because God is the wealthiest of the wealthy. However, your father wants to make his lovely beggar children into prince and princesses. This is why you will become prince and princesses only after having tolerated everything. So again, Baba expanding on if I want, because many times our limitations or my test papers might just be something. Baba's referring to physical wealth, that if this is what you need, I have the key to grant visions. So if I just grant a vision to one billionaire and he can just bring all his wealth to you, your test paper will finish in a second. So I can do that, but I don't want to make it an easy path for you because the most important underlying thing, he does not make it easy for me because he has the faith in me that yes, I am capable of becoming a prince and a princess. I am that deity soul. So the easy way out is not for me because Baba has the trust in me, Baba has the trust in us that I can go through all of this hardship and even in the extremes of hardships or difficult exam papers, I have that, he's got the confidence that I've got that spiritual power hidden somewhere deep down in my heart. I can pull that out only when the circumstances are such. If I look at my life, I glide along smoothly, so there's no real issues in that sense. But when a challenge comes, that's when I really recognize what talents have I got hidden, and what miracles can happen in my life. Many times we go, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Oh, I didn't know that was, I could tolerate so much. I didn't know I had so much love that even someone who's shouting or throwing pebbles at me. So those things can only happen when I go through those wonderful challenges, and Baba's referring to that, and I find that as I would say an expression of love really and faith that Baba has in me, that I can, I've guaranteed I'll take you there and I can sort of finish this and make it an easy path. But then firstly, you won't enjoy it. Something that's kind of just given to us. If our parents kind of give us too much too easily, we do end up complaining in the sense that, oh, I didn't get to work for it. This is something you've earned and you've learned. What about my learning? What about me having to have confidence in myself as well, that yes, I can do this, and it's such a wonderful thing to have in my life. So in this one, Baba says, the father knows that you children definitely have to take this path of tolerating. And I love, love, love this line that Baba says, tolerating, because that is such a wonderful power that we have, Sehen Shakti, which I really feel it's definitely not a Kalyugi sanskar. Everyone does tolerate, everyone does, says sahan karna padta hai, sahan karna padta hai. But usually it's used in such a negative context. And in Kali Yuga, I think it's kind of the law that you have to tolerate. You have to tolerate, whether it's in your in-laws' house, whether it's, somebody pressuring you to do something, whether it's your boss, making an extra demand and and you feel like you're being forced and you don't have a choice, or whether it's having to conform to the traffic laws and having to put up with other people's stuff, because we live in shared spaces, we live in a community, and many a times, there is no other option. So the world does tolerate, but I feel like that's sort of seen in a negative sense, that why do we have to tolerate? It's not seen as a power. Whereas Baba, when he refers to toleration, me having the power to tolerate, he uses as such a beautiful, valuable jewel that, you tolerate because I'll read that line, which I found so lovely, that because it's a godly and a divine virtue. You don't tolerate just because, I want to see you miserable, but because it's the godly law. It's the godly virtue and a deity virtue. And I know you're qualified, but I want you to be confident and I want you to live through that. So you know that you are qualified to be in the golden age, in the beginning of golden age. So the father knows that you children definitely have to take this path of tolerating, so sahan karna, because to tolerate everything is a godly and a divine virtue. So it's definitely a godly and a divine virtue. So every time I tolerate, always remember that what a wonderful, wonderful blessing it is, and what a virtue it is, what a power it is, and where that is taking me. Many times it's easy for me to kind of prove the other person wrong and shut the situation down, or have the situation kind of swing in my favor. So I always have the upper hand. And I think we do tend to do that sometimes. We don't want to have to, we always want to have the upper hand and win the argument, tell the other person that they're wrong. But if I tolerate, if I practice just tolerating, not kind of not even, we don't gossip anymore, but we do kind of, if I see something incredible and I kind of go, well, this really shouldn't be happening. So I do have the tendency, most of us, that I'll go and share with a third person, just to, under the garb of I'm just informing them, somebody else should know. But if I just tolerate that, if I see someone's negativity, if I see someone doing something, if I see the situation in such a way, if I can have that sahan shakti, if I can tolerate that, that is such a lovely, lovely, wonderful power to keep with me. And I think Mama really was an embodiment of that. Like, when we hear Mama's points every day when they come, Sahan Shakti was one of the greatest ones that Mama had. She knew so much. Everyone came and complained to her all the time. She held the court, the kacheri at night, where everyone shared their weaknesses, what mistakes they did. And, 300-400 people all living together. But the record Mama had, that she never, ever, ever shared any of that. She samalete the, whatever that came, she would just tolerate it, and sweetly tolerate in her heart, that having her vision wouldn't change at all, having known your negativities. She always kept her vision extremely pure, always saw everyone, having known all their negativities, knowing all their Kalyugi sanskars, not getting trapped that this is the real them, knowing that this is just a part, that they are actually the pure original soul living in the gold, in Param Dham, in my supreme one. That's the vision she always had. Whatever sanskars they had, habits they had, negativities they had, she could kind of not look at that at all, because she kept the eternal truth. So the power of tolerance, I think, gives us the power to not get bogged down or not get confused that, yes, this is the only truth. The temporary scene, sometimes you go, oh, that person's so angry. How dare they talk to me like that? The little things, the heaviness that I keep on in my brain, in my mind, is usually due to getting trapped in the role that someone is playing. So, even if someone's the worst Ravan in my life, I should have the power to tolerate. I should have the power to face that, yes, this is just a role that they're playing. It's a very negative role. They are Ravan in my life. They have a lot of things that they do wrong. But my godly virtue, my godly power, my divine virtue, and my divine truth, my eternal truth, is that this is just a part that they're playing. So having the power to look beyond that. I think that is such a lovely gift that Baba's given us, those lines, if we can keep that in our lives, and learning from what Mama also did in her life. Okay, so the Father knows that you children definitely have to take the path of tolerating, because to tolerate everything is a godly and divine virtue, which has happiness merged in it. So normally in the Kali, people would tolerate and they'd get really sad. They'll feel bogged down. They'll feel frustrated. They'll feel cornered. That why is it always me who has to tolerate? So Baba has, given us the true meaning of tolerating. Why do I tolerate? How do I tolerate? And with tolerating, there is happiness merged within it. With this virtue, you can experience godly happiness. Even while tolerating everything, you celebrate with so much pleasure. We celebrate because we know the eternal truth. We know why this is happening, and this is just a little scene in this huge world drama. It's just a scene. It's just like a little chutney on the side to keep us entertained. It's not my whole meal. My whole meal is, the fresh satyug that God's created for us. That's my big chunk of my existence. This is just a little side scene. So, just to add a bit of variety in my life, if I can see it like that. So even while tolerated everything, you celebrate with so much pleasure. This is the entertaining knowledge. Only such yogis who are free from any temptation can attain permanent happiness. So, not getting tempted in believing that Kalyug or this little drama is the only eternal truth. Not getting tempted. You have to keep for permanent happiness. The time for exams has now come close. Each and every child has to keep the exams that are to come in front of them in advance and continue to move along with that practice. Even if some children do not have food or water, you yourself have to be present as a carefree emperor. You have to adopt such a beautiful stage for yourself over a long period of time. If someone believes that at that time he'll be able to move along by himself, then he is deceiving himself. That is why you have to be cautious beforehand. So this is Baba really just referring to us, referring that give the importance of time. Bahut kal ka abhyas, Baba says you have to be able to experience the virtue and the value, and be able to prove to yourself or repeatedly prove to yourself. So it's it's permanent within you. So I don't feel like, and sometimes we do get a little bit careless and we say, oh, I'll do it when the time comes. But Baba says, no, if you say that you'll do it, if you're dependent on the time, or you think you'll be able to do it when the time comes, you're definitely deceiving yourself. You have to find application, be able to apply all of the virtues in the small little moments of my life. So, Baba's referring to even if you don't have food and water, so, if an extreme time comes, even if you don't have that, I would have practiced being a carefree emperor over so many situations that even if something like that happens, you kind of go, well, it doesn't really matter. I am still the carefree emperor. Whereas if you don't have that power, if you don't have that virtue accumulated, you will definitely at a certain time, you will kind of go, oh, well, this is a new thing for me. I don't know how to handle this situation. So long time working on something, lambe samay ka abhyas, continuously working on something. So it's no longer really a big deal. And I think we do know that even on a physical level, if I want to train a certain muscle, if I want to start running a 20-kilometer marathon, I can't say, oh, well, I'll run on the day of the competition. I'll save all my energy now. I'll eat well, I'll sleep well, I'll save all my energy. And on the 1st of July, when the marathon is, I'll get up and run. No, it doesn't work like that. You will run 100 meters, 500 meters, you'll run a kilometer, maybe 5 or maybe 6 or 7. You will tire out and you will just stop. You will not be able to continue. So in the same, what do I have to do to prepare for that? I'll have to get up every single day. I'll have to train a little bit. I'll have to run a little bit, and the next day a bit more, the next week a little bit more. And I have to keep pushing myself. I have to keep pushing myself. So when that day of the 20-kilometer marathon comes, that day I can run very well. So it's the same with my virtues. I can't keep putting them off. I can't in my daily life keep going around, living in a Kali Yugi way, so to say, that I can't keep living according to the laws of Kali Yuga, and then suddenly one day I can't expect myself that I have become all godly. I need the time. I need to practice every single day. I need to push myself. I need to see how much can I tolerate today. The weather. Push yourself. If you've had a physical injury, just see how you can tolerate. You're having an argument. Just see, not biting your tongue and being bitter inside, but how much can I make spiritual peace with it? How much can I console my soul that living with the laws of the eternal drama, living with the spiritual laws that this is just a scene in the drama, training myself every single day, every single moment, connecting. How much can I connect to Shiv Baba? How quickly can I connect? Spot checking myself randomly, having little benchmarks or having little, time stamps that, okay, remember Baba when I do this, when I brush my teeth. Always remember Baba when I am, many of us have, at least when we offer food, when we come into the house, when we leave house, have little time blocks for yourself, that how often do I remember Baba? And then spot check yourself randomly. I think when sometimes we have traffic controls on our phone and it does go off and suddenly, oh, well, today it took me a while. So that's a wonderful checking tool for me. And I can go, okay, well, this is something I need to work on, but I need to have practices. I need to keep checking myself if I really want to, grow and flourish, because you can't just suddenly wake up one day and just completely be in God's remembrance, or you can't just wake up at the end and be like, well, I'm ready for the golden age. It won't work like that. You yourself, your soul will not let you do that, because you've not done the hard yards, you've not practiced. You will collapse. Not collapse, but the example of the marathon, when we said, you a normal person can run 5, 6, 8 kilometers maybe, but you will not be able to go the 20 kilometers. Okay, so I might stop and open up there is a little bit more, but that's fine. We can revise that on our own. What do we think? Should we open up the floor for some discussion?
Yes, sister, we can open up.
Lovely.
Everybody wants to share, yes, we can share their takeaways.
Wonderful. So anyone would like to share what they've learned or what they've taken?
Sister, what a journey you took us. Even for me, on Mama's Day, Mama's Murli always attracted me. But when I saw the second part of the Murli, I just listened to the Murli in the class when it was read. But I said, no, I have to go through this dialogue myself. And this is what you did now. You read, but the way you asked questions to yourself, the way, I don't know, the way the self churning you did, this is what even I did personally for me. And everywhere, when he started, even when he spoke about daughter Shri Radhe, I was just thinking, even how did Baba address? And I was thinking, is it Brahma Baba and Mama? Or then, but when the word daughter Shri Radhe come, I said, yeah, she's also Brahma's daughter. So that there was a confusion in me. Is it a dialogue of mother, Mama with Brahma? But the first sentence when Baba says, it's an Avyak meeting with God, and this, so it's direct Shiv Baba and this. The one thing, only one paragraph which hit me was about that light. When he says, when my children sit in remembrance, which is what I call it as overflowing remembrance, he's saying the brightness of that light has not reached my world. That was one paragraph really which I took to my to see. I said, Baba, you're too far. Paramdham is too far. And I am still sparkling. To go to your world and to be there for a long time is a test paper for me. Because down even the angelic world is there which attracts me. But just see the lesson which he has given there. Only when that brightness of yoga, all of us, when it reaches his world, then each one of us will be full light. Then we will be called as Shakti. That was one paragraph, I think, which I kept churning and churning. I also liked where he said, I know I feel very sad for my children. I know I can give visions, but no, my children have to play their part. And that the concern which he has and the way he's sharing it with Mama. And I was just thinking, how is Mama going to speak to us? What is the dialogue after this? What is Mama's reaction to us? Especially such a reaction on Mama's day with Big Date. I think this was the churning I just wanted to share. And the way, and he calls her Shiromani. Shiromani, which is what when I like the jewel of jewels. Yesterday only Baba gave us a blessing of Amulya Ratan, but Baba calls here as this jewel of jewels. Wow. And this thing of oh, at the end he calls not oh. It's such an exclamatory kind of dialogue. I just like that. But for me, that one paragraph, why my life? Because for me personally, Paramdham is a thing which still is a journey. I know I have not reached that light at all totally. Maybe I reach a second. But I think that paragraph was specially meant for me, Moksha.
Yeah, that is lovely, sister. Wonderful, wonderful. Because that was the very next paragraph that we didn't get to. But that is such an important message that I was referring to, that your brightness of the light has not yet come. So, we all know what the brightness of the light means. It's not obviously not the physical light, but the more polished I become in my virtues, the more my body consciousness sort of melts. The quicker I am, the more stable I am in my original eternal self. So Baba's kind of waiting for that. And I found this Murli such a lovely, and I resonate with what you were saying earlier. I found it because it is a Murli, that is Shiv Baba talking through a messenger, like, he's spoken every other Murli. but he gave it such a lovely little personal touch that it became so personal that I think when we were reading it, that, it was the same thing. I read it in class for everyone, and then I'd read it the night before, and then we read it together, but then I couldn't stop reading it. I had to I had to repeat it so many times because it felt like such a personal little, it's very small, it's not a huge little, so I could repeat it for so many times. It felt like such a personal little love letter that God's talking to me directly, which is every Murli, but they just kind of had that extra little sweetness in it. It just felt so nice to be able to flip and I got the sense while reading this Murli was that what would God be thinking? What is, because it's a personal meeting, what is God thinking at that time? He's not just being a teacher. It's more like a conversation between a daughter and a father. A father who has great hopes in his daughter Radhe, he kept saying. So same way, Baba's got so many hopes in me, and he's having like this lovely little chat with me to say, well, this can happen in you because, have this tolerance power, because this has, so many virtues, and it's my law, it's the eternal law. I can finish it. And I loved when Baba said, I can finish it in a second, because I'm not sure if many of us, but a lot of us can sometimes when we're going through tough times be like, Baba, just finish it. I am ready for the golden age. Not sometimes helplessness, or sometimes it can just be like, I don't want to live that. I don't want to go through that difficult path. I don't want to have to deal with the same situation, the same, tantrums that XYZ throws every single day. And I don't want to go see what, the state of my world. It's so sad. It's such a beautiful planet Earth, but we're making it such a mess. Sometimes we feel helpless or frustrated that I don't want to continue. So, but then Baba's come to tell me that why is it like that? It's not that I can't finish it in a second. Centers many a times, now not so much, but centers, we've seen so many beggary parts in the sense that, not so well off that, 20 years ago, we used to see such parts that, sometimes we wouldn't even have money and be waiting the night before that how we're going to pay the rent and that kind of situations. But, you went through all of that not because there was no other option, but because that's what Baba wanted to train. That's what Baba wanted to drill in us. He's got the confidence that, yes, you can go through this because you have, not because you know that the money is going to come anyway, not because you know the world's going to come anyway, but you can kind of, how do I hold myself in such a situation? What vision do I have of myself? What vision do I have of the world? What vision do I have of the drama? My perspective, does it change? Does it kind of get a little bit dark just because the situation is not so wonderful? Do I look down on the drama? Do I want drama to change? Do I not respect drama enough that just because the situation is a little bit, not so pleasant, I can't tolerate? So, how much do I change? How much do I, get kind of taken away from my state of origin, knowing the eternal truth and sitting on my original, being in the awareness that I am that eternal light that has come down just to play a part. And situations is, I feel, the only time we can test ourselves and we can know ourselves. And then again, we can work on that if that's what we'd like to do. And, we do love to do that. That's why we're all here. And that's why Baba's chosen me, because he knows, Baba's got the confidence that, yes, child, definitely you can do that.
And I love the picture. You said Shiv Baba spoke to Radhe, but Shiv Baba cannot talk without my Brahma. So I had a nice picture, beautiful angelic Brahma sitting up on that gaddi, and Shiv Baba there, and Mama, cute Mama sitting down, and that conversation going on between them, and how Mama and we are all outside watching that like a black and white film, and at the end, Mama just looks at us and said, "Got it?" do your work.
Mm.
Something, I don't know. I just had that visualization because I was
Yeah.
thinking, how can this conversation take place? So I
Yeah.
created my own picture. As you
Yeah.
said, ain't Brahma. Shiv Baba cannot do anything without my Brahma, where he can talk. So I had, and Mama's favorite, Father Brahma. She was just, her eyes focused on Brahma listening. Even that vision I like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it'll definitely be a Vyaktabhaktada because, directly Shiv Baba can't come without the subtle body. But the conversation took place in the body of another trance messenger. They've not given the name who, but so I'd imagine Brahma Baba would be sitting on one side, Mama sitting, and then whoever the trance messenger is in that body, the Avyakt Baptada has come, and then Shiv Baba's having that conversation. I think that's what I'd imagine. But anyway, yeah, that's a lovely, lovely little picture you've painted, sister. Beautiful. What else did we like from the Murli?
Shanti. So Baba also said that the key for the vision, right, that is with him, so he can also enable anybody, who's a wealthy person, a vision of a deity, and then make him surrender all his wealth, and then, if required, right, so a lot of changes can be brought in, and that also will become a means to complete the whole service, right, in a short time. So that is also can be done, but Baba wants all his um, um, children to take as much as they can, because everybody has done a lot of devotion, so they all need to get what they have to get. So we have become poor now. So Baba is showing that mercy on us.
Yeah.
So that is also worth
Yeah.
highlighting.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like it's, seva sometimes we might get stuck in what needs to get done. But through this, I understood it's not what needs to get done. So, but for it, Baba, it's very easy that all the wealth comes, God can make anything happen in a second. And then, many times our obstacles might be, oh, we don't have enough resources. I don't have a good phone. I don't have enough money to build a museum that Baba keeps referring to. But it's not what needs to get done. It's how I get things done. It's what virtues I bring about while doing what I do. It's not that I need to physically have numbers. It's not that I physically, because that's a very Kalyugi thing to do. My center's this big. I've done so many classes. What programs I've held, because that's usually what, well, hopefully not, but I think sometimes we do get in that trap, and we want things to be bigger and better and do this and do that and have enough and make the best things and eat the best and feed the best people. And that kind of, it's easy to get down, get in that trap. And it is a trap, because that's a very Kalyugi vision of how we do things. But Baba is not about, he's not about Kalyug. Seva is my subject. It's my subject. It's not showing to the world what I can do. It's not being able to kind of, do the best out there. But how do I go through that journey? How do I live? Whether it's the smallest little service that, I feel like the best service is to be able to do Mansa Seva. So for that, what do I need? Nothing. I just need my mind. So my whole training, my whole study, my whole life is just to train my mind. So I really don't need anything. I don't even need a room. I don't need a light. I don't really need anything for service. It's when I sometimes get in the trap of making things bigger and bigger and bigger and more, because I'm so body conscious, then I feel like the only service is when when I start measuring myself physically. I've done so much service. 10 people came, now 50 people come. So I start measuring myself on the basis of body consciousness or Kalyugi measures. But that's not service really, because that's really dependent on what Baba wants to do. My service, again, I'll say that service is my subject. It's, my four subjects, Gyan, Yog, Murli, and Gyan, Yog, Seva, and Dharna. These are my subjects. These are my foundations of my life. So Seva for me is I just have to check within my heart, within my soul, how much am I progressing, what my intentions are. Bigger is not always better. My intentions have to be of a big heart. They don't need, I don't always have to manifest. It will eventually, that's going to happen anyway. The physical manifestation of, having millions and maybe billions of people all together, because the Baba has to take everyone back home. But I can't keep measuring myself, and I cannot limit myself. I can't say, well, if I had this, I'd be able to do so much. If I was a better speaker, maybe I'd be able to serve 1,000 more people. If I was able to read a certain language, or I cannot limit myself in those ways. Many times you go, well, Baba, if you'd made me a good speaker, maybe I can serve a lot more. Baba, if you'd given me money, maybe I could have built a house. So not limiting myself like that, not even having that vision that it's not about, because God can get anything done ultimately, what Baba's referring to and what the brother just shared. He can get anything.
Yeah, another thing is, Baba has come and doing everything in an ordinary way and ordinary dress. Just imagine God being the Almighty Authority, right? He can do any wonders that He wants, right? But He has come and doing everything in ordinary. Just like, let's say Baba started doing things in an extraordinary way. Somebody died, Baba reviving that person.
Yeah.
Right. And any major destruction or any natural calamity is going to take place, and suddenly Baba coming and revealing that to his children. If he does any sort of an extraordinary things, right, then also it would have been, Brahma Kumaris would have become very well known, right? So in a short time, I'm saying. But here, Baba is actually following all the Maryadas and being an ordinary person, right? Teaching us and making us do everything, teaching us, and then trying to get everything done through us, giving us that opportunity.
Definitely. It's like when you have a child, if you have a child, sometimes they have that sweet little baby talk. So you'll start talking baby in a baby set talk as well. It's not that you don't have very polished, vocabulary in English, but you start crawling on the floor like the baby does, or you'll start giggling like they do, because you want to connect with them. That's how the child is. That's how your toddler is. So that's how you connect with them on that level. So Baba is, I feel that's such a big respect that Baba gives us, that, he comes down to our level to sort of prepare us, because he knows we're not ready to leave body consciousness. And if we check many elements, if we check our service, if we check my gyan, do I do it just as a show off, just as a tick off, just as an attendance, just as an obligation, just as a I should, or does it really come from respecting myself and respecting the eternal laws, knowing that I am this, as powerful as God, really, because Baba says, I'll make all of you as pure as myself before I take you back home. So ultimately, we do become as pure as Him, but having that vision on myself through this, living in these ordinary times of the end of Kali Yugas, I think really reveals our power to ourselves. No one else really, it can ultimately other people see it, but that's not the point. The point is, if I can be sure in myself, reveal that to myself, I mean, what more could I really ask for? Lovely point.
Sister, I just had a small doubt. You didn't come to that paragraph. That last paragraph, when his O changes into Oho, then that Aha, when he says, come and sit my cool lamp, that one line, the light of the knowledge is sparkling in the middle of the elements. I just want to know, isn't that the work of the children? Isn't there where Baba says you have to become Prakriti Jeet, where you have to spread the knowledge to the 5 elements? Or does he do that? I just had a thing. Does Baba say that it's my vision, my key, which does that, or is it the invocation of the children?
I think a bit of both. You see, when he says, "Can the children not see my form?" All these visions are granted. So visions, Baba always grants. So I think you're asking when he's referring to, can you see the light of this knowledge is sparkling in the middle of the elements.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's just being able to see that Earth is God's creation, really. Even though it's eternal, God's kind of created this drama for us. So being able to see the divinity through that. So God, in the sense, doesn't really want credit for it, but again, highlighting the eternity of the spiritual laws, that this world is really temporary. So it's my light, or it's God's light, that makes all of this possible, because this is all temporary. These are my servants, in such a way that, when Prakrijit, he says that these things are created for me. I am the eternal authority. The spirit is always higher than the elements, even though they always exist. It's just I wouldn't say a hierarchy, but there's a bit of a difference, that it's my light that helps shine all of this. Does that
Because
sort of...
it was in that paragraph, the flash statement came. If those who are the creation meet their creator, why should they leave him and go to his creation? It was like a tongue twister over there, a lovely tongue twister for us to think. That's why I asked you that.
Yeah, I think that's us getting stuck in Maya. That's us getting stuck in the beauty of this world. This world is beautiful, but me getting stuck and feeling this is my only limitation. We do say that, when we go to the mountains and we see the gorgeous, wow, they're so vast, we get lost. But, we forget that they are my creation. My creation, in the sense, they're Baba's creation. So they still, I am much larger than that. And it's hard for me to kind of have that huge, or that eternal, or that big vision for myself, because I live in such an ordinary way, because I am so body conscious. So instead of knowing, and that's not arrogance, that's, the eternal truth, that just because the elements are certain, they are huge, they are beautiful. So I do respect their beauty, but it's not again going down that trap that I am smaller than that, because you, as the spiritual being, the spirit is always larger. The truth is always more eternal. Whereas this world, it's because it's matter, it doesn't really have a soul, it's not living. So not falling down the trap, or the nature is so beautiful, or things are so beautiful. They are, but it's remembering my original self through that as well. I don't know if that kind of clarifies a little bit for you. Because your light shines through, Baba saying, my light shines through that. I am still the highest being. The spirit, the eternal truth, the laws of that are a lot more, they're grander than what anything that this planet Earth can offer to you. And that's not arrogance, that's just living in the eternal truth. Okay, anything else? Should we wrap up? Anyone else would like to share?
In the interest of time, let's move on to meditation. We're already at 5:58.
Wonderful. Okay. Shanti. I, the powerful being, sitting in my position, my status, my eternal truth, beyond the splendor of this world. How fortunate I have been. What a great authority am I. What a wonderful being. If God Himself comes and talks to me, He trains me, He teaches me, He reveals the secrets of what it means to be a godly being, a deity being, explaining nits and grits of the world, how this eternal drama spins and turns, the secret of this wonderful time, living in this mud of a world, the end of the Kali Yuga. But this beautiful, powerful knowledge is my shield. I live like a lotus. I live with godly laws. I create a small little world for myself, not reacting, not living according to the laws of Kali Yuga, not being body conscious, but transforming my vision, transforming my being, checking every action, my every intention, and making sure it's according to what God wants. I have the faith, I have the trust that God means the best for me. I am the original golden aged being. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Harminder. Thank you, Divine Family. We shall connect again tomorrow at 5 a.m. Until then, you all have a beautiful day. Om Shanti.